Let's see how bad things can actually get in the Bronx. All that is right in amateur sports is on full display in Victoria last week, and the future of the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. Four Beer Sports talking a whole lot more. All on today's 1420 Sports Bar podcast. Let's get into it.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
1420 Sports Bar Podcast. Four Beer Sports talking a whole lot more. Join host Brent Radlinsky as he bellies up to the bar and gets the conversation going that'll make you think you're sitting in your local watering room. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans. So sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get into it. The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, Four Beer Sports talking a whole lot more for this 9th day of August 2025. Remember, today's show is brought to you by, as always, by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420SEAT. That's 1420SEAT at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to bellyupsports.com for all their great articles and other podcasts, such as No Credentials Required, which I was a guest on earlier on today at the time of this recording, and had a nice chat about the dog days of summer with Kevin was over there with Ryan from No Credentials Required, obviously, and we had a good chat about baseball and the playoff races and the dog days and trades and everything else. And then we talked some NCAA hockey and CHL hockey, how the intertwining the Gavin McKenna situation with Penn State. So make sure you go and take a listen to that. It was a lot of fun catching up with those guys that we do once every couple of months. I jump on with the guys from No Creds Required. So it's a cred head, I guess, is what they're calling their fans. So it's a very, very good show, and you make sure you give that a listen. Anyways, man, might as well get right into it. The New York Yankees, the tradition seems to continue. Another train wreck last night in the Bronx. Devin Williams goes in the 10th, and of course, and this is getting historically bad. What's going on with this character that he came over, highly heralded trade that they made, and blah blah blah, to come over and save the day and put him over the hump to be the World Series champion. This guy just can't get it done. Another blown save and a loss, and it's just been a really bad week. And now it's in his head, and it's done. Devin Williams, he shouldn't be in anymore. But of course, the script is written before the game even starts, and Williams is going in, and it turned out as everybody kind of expected, with the always great Houston Astros getting another win over the Yankees in the Bronx. Carlos Correa's back with those no good, rotten, stinking. I forgive him, but I'll never forget the Houston Astros. I should probably get over that and not say it's been eight long years since that happened. But it's just a Yankee testament what's going on with that team, and it's just it's a sink or swim, and they're sinking, and there's no life preservers being thrown over the Titanic. This thing is going down. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets any better, and I think that's a good thing. The Bronx is burning, and it should burn right to the ground and see what can happen, because this current construction, this current roster, this current managerial, this current everything, it just isn't working. And I think the only way that it's going to get changed around a little bit and to give Yankee fans any solace and any hope in the offseason, if it does get broken down and started over. I know they're only 1 year away from making a World Series appearance, but this team's a lot different. And as I said on No Credentials Required earlier on, they were saying that Aaron Judge, and I kind of alluded to it last week, that Judge isn't that raw guy that Jeter was, or the leader, the captain, all that BS. That doesn't matter, doesn't mean a thing. That he's got to step up and say something. Why do people think that if Judge hasn't said anything this year, that he's going to say something later on, that he's going to be the one to miraculously just change his stripes and be the guy that's going to be the go into the manager's office or into Cashman's office and say, we got to do some changes? He doesn't. That's not the kind of guy he is. He doesn't want to rock the boat. Obviously, I don't know the guy. I've never talked to him in my life and all that, but he's not the guy that's going to do that. So people got to quit clamoring for him to be that guy to do that. I think the only guy that can that might be able to make a bit of a change and might be able to just say something and might be able to slam a desk or slam a door and turn over a desk might be a guy like Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole seems to have that fire in his belly, and what's his legacy? Like he's close to a Hall of Fame guy. He's got to do some winning, and Cole seems to be more of a fiery guy than Aaron Judge is. Judge is he's a silent leader. He's just like Jeter was, but he's not a winner like Jeter was. He's not that kind of a guy. Could he be? Who knows? He's getting to that point of his career, like, okay, here we go. The trajectory can only go so high, and the injuries are going to start piling up with him as he's coming back now. But I think that Garrett Cole's got to be the guy to say something over the offseason to get this thing shake it up a little bit, because he's going to start throwing this week and Tommy John surgery and all that goes. But when he comes back, he's going to want to win, and he sees this the way this roster is constructed. He can't be very happy. I'm not happy, and I don't have a interest in this. As a fan, I'm a rooting interest in it, but I don't have a lifelong career interest in this. And you see a guy like Devin Williams blowing games a year, night in, night out, and it's not working. But that's all they got. The management made a decision to go out and get him, traded prospects and picks and players and everything else to go out and get this guy, and he was supposed to be the one. It didn't work. But the management has to keep putting this guy out there, because they hung their neck out there, so they kind of, the nerds, everything else, have to keep going with Williams, because that's what they got. It's on the 40-man. What are you going to do? There's nothing else you can do, right? He's the guy, and he's a pitcher. He's one of the guys that are coming out of the pen. That's all they got. So it's a lost cause, but I think it's a good lost cause. I think it's a point now, like, keep throwing them out there and see how bad it can get. Let's see how bad this can get. Historically bad numbers lately, and it's kind of fitting that they're going through this really bad stretch. They've lost 6 of 7 or 7 of 8, whatever it's been, after getting swept last weekend and not getting the one win in Texas, and then losing last night at home, and having old timers day to day, which I think is a great tradition. I think it's fantastic. They roll those guys out there. And we talked about Jeter not being there, and I get why he doesn't want to play, and I totally understand it, like we discussed last time, but I think it's a great tradition. I think it's kind of appropriate right now. The Yankees are going through this really historically bad stretch for a team, and they got all these old guys saying, "Well, here's what I would do. Here's what I would do. Here's what I would do." They got to get back to this. They had Posada saying that Boone, he didn't necessarily single out Aaron Boone, but he basically said you can't be everybody's best friend. You got to get some tough choices. You got to have some tough love. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but it was Jorge Posada pointing his finger at one person only. And that's Aaron Boone. That they have to got to get a little bit tough love, and it's not that's not how today's athlete works. So it's a really tough spot right now for this New York Yankees club, it's like I said, it's appropriate that these guys are out there saying, well, here's how it was when we were winning championships after championship, Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer. But today's athlete's a lot different. You can't have tough love. These guys don't. They care more about their name on the back more than the name on the front. Well, I know the Yankees don't have name on the back of their jerseys, but these guys are they're so rich. They're all making so much money, and they've all come through systems in life and baseball systems where they don't have to win, and winning is secondary. In these baseball academies, these baseball things. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But it's so secondary what these athletes do nowadays, and how they're coddled and how they're massaged. I think that the Jazz Chisholm Jr. thing has to be a stop. Last night he decides to jog down first base on a ground ball at second base. He's probably going to be out, but if you start jogging at some point, you give the fielder enough time to compose himself and make a decent throw. That's why runners run so hard now. They force infielders to make tough plays, make quicker plays. But when he starts jogging down the line, that's when you sit him down and say, if you're going to jog over here, jog down the tunnel and sit your ass down there. Enough's enough. Make an example of some of these guys. Someone's got to make an example of any of these guys to say, this is just not acceptable the way we do things. Is Boone, I read something that Boone's a fiery guy behind closed doors. I don't know. And if he is, the message isn't getting out there. The message is not loud and clear, apparently. These guys just don't seem to care. But it's all they got. Saw today that Giancarlo Stanton's going to be playing in the outfield for the first time in 2 years. 2 years since he's played the outfield. Is that what this great Yankee team has become? A bunch of pitchers and a few guys and a bunch of platoon players, and that's just line up in and out. They don't have much talent. It's crazy to think that this team just doesn't have talent that can win a game, that can go out there day in, day out, or a roster that can go in, day out and stay the same, or plug a guy in here. We're putting a guy that hasn't played in 2 years in the outfield. Surprisingly, he even has a glove. Like, you think about to not play in almost 2 years in the outfield, and yet you're in today because this guy needs a rest day. They're young athletes. Why isn't Dominguez playing? Why isn't Bellinger in there? Like, why do they keep changing the lineup every day? I know they got to have, and this is a major problem moving forward. How long is Judge's rehab going to be in being the DH? You want Stanton bat in there, but at what expense? At what expense do you want the defensive liability out there? It makes zero sense. You need his bat because they can't score runs. It's an anemic offense right now. They don't score enough runs, and you got to have Judge in there, obviously, with his 37 home runs. Obviously, you got to have him in there. But at what expense? It makes zero sense that this team has that much of a lack of confidence in some of their younger guys, that they just won't keep guys in and won't play them every day. These guys want to play every day. Are they tired? Probably, but everybody's tired. This is the dog days of summer on the 8th day of August or 9th day of August, whatever it is. Are they tired? Yeah. But so is that guy. Jose Altuve's out there every day, and he's getting close to ancient in Major League Baseball terms. But for these guys at Old Timers Day to be popping off about how today's athlete, it's just different. It's just different. And you can't go in there slamming doors and turning over tables and benching guys because athletes just react differently. They react differently. And the Bronx isn't that much of a destination to go to anymore. You aren't guaranteed to win a championship. You aren't even close to winning a championship. So it's today's athlete is so different. Yeah, you want to bench guys now, and I still would. We lost with you, we'll lose without you. It's at that point. Bench guys. It's their contracts. Like Chisholm's he's in a contract year. Bench him. You know what's going to hurt? Jazz Chisholm Jr. If he doesn't want to play hard, oh well, we're losing anyways. He's supposed to be one of our better players. The guy's hitting $195 in the last 2 months. Since the trade deadline, which is over 2 weeks or a week and a half ago now, he's been awful. Awful. Sit him down. Say, you know what? This is only hurting your bank account. Yours, not mine. Boone's going to get paid no matter what. You're a free agent. You want the big dollars. People see that you're not playing. You're not going to get it. Owners are getting smarter. Are they overpaying for some guys? Yeah. But now they're like, you know what? We don't need to pay these guys $20 million to be a 200 hitter. We can pull some guy out of college or out of the minors to do that. We draft guys every day. We have roster fillers all over the place, in the minors, wherever. We have guys that are just baseball players, and we don't got to pay them $20 million a year. So, Jazz, you better figure it out. The old figure it out. Don't know what it is half the time, but if Jazz doesn't figure it out, he's hurting his bank account. All right. I mean, he'll be fine making 12, 13. I hope he's going to be fine making that kind of money. But you know what? Sit here until you figure it out. If you don't want to figure it out, you can sit even longer because it's your legacy. It's your bank account. It's you. If you want to jog and then you want to get thrown out at first base on a tag play, you want to do this, do that, you know what? Screw you. Austin Wells, same thing. You're going to be a free agent soon. See you later. Just sit here. We'll find someone else to catch baseballs because you aren't throwing anybody out either. Sit him down. Sit him. Whatever. Find a way to fake an injury. Do whatever you got to do. It happens all the time where guys just disappear. Contracts are tough. I understand that. And moving 40 men and all that BS and 25-man roster and everything, it's tough. I get it. But there's always a way. And it seems to me that the inmates are running the asylum. That's the biggest thing to me with this Yankees team. That the inmates are running the asylum and nobody seems to know what to do. Fire Boone, like we talked about, bring in anybody else. Yeah, 100%. What's going to change? What's going to change? Absolutely nothing. So what's the point? Let it burn down. Maybe that's what Cashman and maybe that's what Boone and maybe the rest of them are doing. Let these players eat themselves alive. Maybe they're the smart ones. Maybe they're not nearly as dumb as we think they are. I think they're quite dumb. But maybe they just say, you know what? We can't do a thing with this group. They aren't going to listen to me. They aren't going to listen to the next guy. Why would they? Why would they? Nothing will change. Pitchers can't throw strikes. Pitchers go 5 like you got to watch how you say that. Schlittler. 5 innings. Bad first inning all the time. Happens every time. After the first, he's great. He's great. So maybe throwing it. Here's a novel idea. I just came up with this one, thinking about it. Why not? Because he's so bad in the first. I know it's always his first inning too, but maybe throw in one of the opener, and then put Schlittler in. Because then you get to the 6th, then you only have to worry about 7, 8, and 9. Because that's what baseball is now, right? The script is this. This guy goes this far. This guy goes this far. This guy goes this far. and that's it. So why not throw in an opener and then Schlittler, and then he gets the first inning bug out of the way, and you never know. He was good last night. He's been good the entire time, but always giving up two when you fall behind 2 or 3 runs every time he starts. It's tough to claw back, especially when your offense stinks like the Yankees does right now. They can't get anything going. Let it burn to the ground. And maybe it is. Maybe like there's no way that Cashman and Boone are this stupid and this lackadaisical and this laissez-faire about this whole thing. Boone was a fiery guy when he's a player. Maybe they're like, you know what? This group is it's a lost cause. This is what we got. This is all we got. So this is what we're going to run with. No point in trying to change anything. Nothing's going to. Cole's gone. I don't know. This guy, that guy. This guy's hurt. Judge is. You never know how long he's going to play, what his rehab's going to be. Maybe that's it. Maybe they're just sitting back playing possum. Maybe that's exactly it. Because it is an awful display of baseball the New York Yankees are putting on right now. Not as bad as the Colorado Rockies. What a train wreck that's got to be. And they're still getting good crowds there in Colorado. Like the Jays were there and hit them up for 60 runs in 3 games over the past week. But holy cow, that's bad stuff going on in Colorado. Historically bad numbers, even considering how bad the Chicago White Sox were last year. This is going to be even worse, and that's a major problem with baseball. The have-and-have-nots just keep doing it because they keep making money. Speaking of money, and who wasn't? That to Las Vegas A's thing sounds like it isn't happening. So it sounds to me like they're just moving dirt around, not doing anything, just kind of pretending to be building something because there isn't the funding in place to build that thing. It wouldn't surprise me if the A's get sold and end up back in Oakland in a different building, and then they give the other guy a franchise or he buys a new one or something. Fisher. It wouldn't surprise me at all if all this is just a ruse and the A's go back. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. And they made a couple deals, trade a couple of their big arms this past week to San Diego. San Diego's going to be tough to beat in the playoffs. Really tough. That bullpen is going to be really good. But this Yankees thing, it's going to be interesting to see how bad it turns out. They could very easily lose the 3 games to Houston this week and be 8-9 games out very easily. Not the Dodgers are going to lose 2 out of 3 to the Blue Jays. And what a matchup last night with Scherzer versus Kershaw. I mean, it's a lot of years since they were in their prime, but Kershaw's actually having a really good year, all things considered, in this last season in the big leagues. But that's one for the couple of Hall of Famers, guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famers going out last night at Chavez Ravine. But it's fun to watch that. That's what a baseball fan kind of clamors for a little bit, watching that kind of a thing. And it's was watching the Bulls self-destruct last night. Their season's done for those of you who follow what's been going on there. But yeah, the Bulls season went out with a bit of a whimper last night. Big 6-2 loss in the playoffs. They're all done for the season. Now we get working on next year. So got a little more time to do this podcast stuff again. But it's going to be interesting to see how this all turns out with the Yankees. Do they turn it around? They have some teams that they could beat. They can go. They play Minnesota, who's historically bad. They got Chicago, who's really bad. Chicago or Minnesota with their fire sale. They have. I wouldn't say that Baltimore's historically bad. They're not very good. They don't do a lot of winning, but it's just one of those seasons where things just didn't turn out for them. And then you have they have some series that they could possibly win and try to turn this thing around. But my advice to them is don't. You're not going to do any damage in the playoffs. Don't. Get bad, figure it out, see who's good, see who's bad. Don't change things up with the hopes of maybe winning around. Because is that a success? I don't think it is. That's another thing. Like, what's a success? Talked about with Ryan earlier on today at No Credentials Required. What's success for these season, for a successful season? Yankees are on this big World Series or bust thing, but is that true? Is that true? I don't think it is. Like, I don't think it's true. World Series or bust, because you'd spend more than $350 million, but you shouldn't have spent well, look what $350 million got you. Nothing. And it's an embarrassment. Like, the Yankees should be hanging their head in shame. You got other teams that they're figuring this thing out. I don't know what, like the Milwaukee Brewers got the best record in baseball, and I'll bet they're not a top 10 team in payroll. They seem to have figured it out and not spent $350 million. You can't just keep throwing money to fix your problems. Bad money can follow bad money, and just getting guys and getting guys and getting guys. It doesn't create much of a winning culture. It's hard to imagine how bad this got so quickly. You think at the end of May, so 2 months into the season, they had a 6 or 7 game lead in the division. Now they're 7 games back, and falling quickly. By the end of the weekend, who knows where they could be? Who knows? And you start running out of games. And now you're running out of time. You're running out of games. So before you know it, you could be 3.5 back in the wild card spot, which is good. Don't make the playoffs. Don't make the playoffs. That's my advice. See what you got. See what kind of guts you got. Don't make any changes. Don't make any wholesale changes. And maybe that's why Boone's still around. Maybe Cashman or maybe Steinbrenner and said, you know what? Let's see what we got. We know it's the manager. We know the roster construction. Or do you bring in somebody new? If you bring in somebody new and they get that new coach bump, happens in hockey, happens in basketball, happens in football, happens everywhere. The new coach bump, new guy comes in, win a few games, everything's great, and then it just goes back to what you are. What you are is what you are at this point. Like what you are is what you got. There's no getting around that. It's not a small sample size what the Yankees are. This has been going on for 2.5 months now. How bad this is. This is what they are. They're not a good baseball team. And that's just the facts, plain and simple. So why make wholesale changes? Why pay for another manager? Why pay for this? Why pay for that? Why? Why would you? It ain't going nowhere. Change things up and then what? Then what? Oh yeah, I guess we're 500. Spend another $8 million or whatever on this guy, that guy, bringing things in. Didn't make any. I don't know. Just be done with it. Be done with it and say, okay, maybe Steinbrenner's just holding court for this year, and then when it's all over, that's when he'll make changes. I would think. Are they going to go on a winning streak? Nope, not good enough. Plain and simple, just not good enough. And all the old timers at Old Timers Day saying, I would do this, I would do that. They haven't coached, they haven't managed in this era of baseball with today's athlete. Really easy to say when you had Hall of Famers up and down the lineup. You had guys clawing to stay in the big leagues. Now guys like, all right, I'm generationally rich anyways. Money changed everything. Money changed everything. It changed the dynamic of how athletes get to the big leagues. And this is a direct result of it. There's no jam on this team, and we can't expect them to have the jam of those teams that's 25 years ago. Like that third World Series was 25 years ago. A lot can change 25 years, and it has. And not for the better. Is baseball better? No. Are the athletes better? Yeah. But the game isn't better. And that's what these old timers don't understand is how much different things are. Things are just a lot different. You don't toll in the minor leagues riding on a bus. You do, but you don't. I think you guys know what I'm saying. It's just this team's just not good enough without the jam. There's the $350 million payroll has done nothing. And it's just not good enough. And it's hard to put a finger on as to why I got this bad. But enough about that. We'll talk about the Little League World Series and the Little League Canadian Championships after this word from our sponsor over there at Righteous Felon Jerky. Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at righteousfelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon Jerky. Righteous Felon Jerky, the official jerky of Belly Up Sports and the Belly Up Media Network. Go to righteousfelon.com and get the best in craft jerky in the land. Use promo code BELLYUP at righteousfelon.com and save yourself 15% on the best jerky in the land. I love myself some jerky. I just snack on it all day long, eat it forever. But as you guys said, listen to the show, and people who know me more personally know I was down in or out and down, I guess, down island in Victoria, BC, doing the Little League Canadian Championships with the winner, which was Little Mountain Little League out of Vancouver, advancing to Williamsport in the Little League World Series that gets going next week. The team from Little Mountain, I think they fly out tomorrow to Williamsport and get all their stuff and things. And it was all in all, it was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life in the sports world, which I've been involved in off and on for my 51 years of living, from playing Little League baseball to playing junior hockey, and then the podcast world and umpiring throughout everywhere. But this past week, it showcased everything that's right in the world of amateur sports and minor sports. It was such a great, almost an uplifting experience to know that we're not doomed, and there are some good people in the world, and there are some parents who aren't absolutely crazy, and maybe because it's the age of the kids and everything else. But it was there wasn't any negatives that came out of this week. There was rarely a crossword about a call or parents trying to find their kid a scholarship at the age of 12, which is impossible. And there wasn't any of that stuff. There wasn't any back and forth bickering between coaches or managers or players or fans or parents or tournament organizers. It was just a very positive, uplifting experience, and you saw that there was some hope for humanity out there in Victoria. I was fortunate enough to get to second base on the championship game. My evaluations went really well. I'm not going to tote and what they're all went on there, but my evaluations went well. And I got recommendation to go to a Little League World Series in the next 3 years. We'll see how it rolls through with the Little League International and things. But I might be a Canadian representative at the Little League World Series next couple of years, which is pretty much a lifelong dream of mine. It was a great experience all in all. I had a fun time. Like, it was just such a fun time, and got down to the grassroots of baseball. You remember why you get involved in it, and remember the good times when you were a kid, and before all the crap starts to happen when you get a little bit older, thinking about maybe moving on or getting to different parts of your baseball or hockey career. Just remember, you're just a kid playing, and that was the most important part of the week. They were just a bunch of kids playing baseball, and parents were watching their kids do it. And I think that one of the things that parents were really, because 12 years old is kind of the age where you have to make a decision, which is too bad, what sport you might go and play, whether you're going to be a two-sport athlete, which isn't a thing anymore, which is sad. But then you got a lot of kids might have been playing baseball for the last time, because like a lot of kids in Canada, they play hockey, and then they leave baseball behind, or a lot of kids leave hockey behind, they play baseball. But you see a lot of kids that they might have been playing baseball for the last time this weekend or this past 10 days when I was out there in Victoria, and you got to see a lot of parents kind of taking a step back and taking it all in and realizing that little Billy and little Bobby might have been playing for the last time, or that they were pursuing something that was going to be great, and getting a chance to go to Williamsport. And every little leaguer's dream is to go there. And there was a time on, I can't remember what night of the week it was, Tuesday or Wednesday, that all the days kind of meshed together. Was out there, and the different things going on with the Bulls too. It's been kind of a hectic 2 to 3 weeks, but there was a team from Ontario. They got knocked out of the tournament. They were coming into the hotel, and their parents were cheering them on and everything else. The kids were crying, and they were pretty dejected about what was going on. But about half an hour later, I looked out my hotel room window, and the kids were playing wiffle ball out front on the grassy area out front of the hotel, and just kind of put it in perspective. Like, yeah, they're upset, but you know what? Life goes on. It's just sports, and they're out there having a good time and playing wiffle ball and just doing the game that they love, and playing it just for fun, even though their hopes and dreams were at a young age. The young age hopes and dreams were crashed just a few minutes earlier, and to go, you know what? It doesn't really matter. We're out here having fun, and that's the most important thing. And the kids were having fun, and the parents, the coach were having fun, and they're out there for all the right reasons. And it was really a great experience to be a part of out there in Victoria. And during that championship game, you can kind of see the host Leyritz team. They just didn't have it. They kind of ran out of gas, and they all the luck that they had, because everything seemed to go right for them all week long. It was 1-run games, and an error here and error there by the opposing team always worked in their favor. And then it kind of just, you kind of see it happening early on in that game on on Thursday afternoon out there in Victoria, and the championship team from Little Mountain. They've been to the World Series a couple of times in the recent past, and but different kids. Obviously, kids get a little bit older, but it was really fun to watch these kids. And in the sixth inning game, that's all it is in Little League baseball. But I was umpiring second base, and I had to go out to center field to make a call. And the kid who caught the ball, he was you could tell he was. For those watching on YouTube, they were those listening on the podcast side of things. Actually, they you can see my face. The kid was very stoic almost in his catch and very business-like that he did. Yeah, I did it, but I mentioned the little fella, and they're all just so small, 11, 12 years old. I mentioned the little guy, said, "Hey man, you can smile now. You're probably going to Williamsport." And this big grin came across his face, and then they realized that I think they kind of knew at that moment. But then the next out was a strikeout to end the game, and the gloves are in the air, and the celebration was happening, and it was really uplifting to see that everything was right with sports, and the reason why we all love sports, and the reason why you get involved in it at whatever, and the volunteers, and why you're around it, and the things that you remember about that. And there was some great plays throughout the week, and I know it's just Little League baseball, but they're big leaguers. For that 10 days, they were big leaguers. There was 2,000 people, probably that last game in Victoria there, and the place was packed. And they were 7 rows deep in the outfield, and all around there was, like I said, 2,000 people. And before the game got going, I'm usually pretty cool as a cucumber, I guess. But I got to say, before I went on the field there, I had butterflies. Like, holy cow, this is kind of a big deal for these kids. Like, I've umpired in front of bigger crowds in my career, but this one was pretty surreal to be out there in front of 2,000 people. And these kids, they meant it, and it was their World Series, and it was their day to shine. And when they won, there was elation everywhere, and it was so fun to be a part of. And then it was just such a positive experience, and everybody was having a good time, and they're out there for all the right reasons. And even the team that lost, Leyritz, the home team, the parents were, they were a little dejected, a little upset, and the kids were obviously upset. But I had to get back to my sister's place afterwards. But you could bet that a few hours later, the kids are out there having a good time playing wiffle ball, or it might be, or they're putting their ball gloves away and getting their hot equipment ready, and they're probably having a good time, or playing video games, whatever it might be. And they'll remember that for a long time. And I bet the parents, after they sat back and decompressed a little bit, they go, you know what, that was pretty awesome. It was pretty great to be a part of it, and to watch my kid play, or my nephew, or my neighbor, or whatever it was, because there was a lot of people there that they wanted the root for the home team, but only one team can win. But you realize you watch it, and you're there for the right reasons. And a lot of conversation you have with people, how great it was. And it was fun to talk to some of the older people that came back to Leyritz Little League that played there in like 1980, and then some guys in the 70s, and just got guys my age that were coming back to watch it all and go for full circle. Remember when, and then for the team that won, that's something they can hold on to forever. I mean, they're going to go to Williamsport, and the Canadian teams haven't fared so well really ever in that tournament, but they're going to go down there and probably the same fate. But 20, 30 years from now, those same kids, when they're 30 and when they're 40, 50 years old, sitting around the local bar room having a beer or a pint, or a scotch on the rocks, whatever it might be, or sitting around, they'll remember that moment forever. And it was it's something they can hold on to, and they can say they were Canadian champions once in their life, or maybe twice in their life. But at that moment, they were the best team on the planet in their eyes, and no one can ever take that away. And it was such a fun thing to be a part of, and it was everything. Like I said, it was everything that was right with that's supposed to be right with minor sports. And anybody who gets a chance to go to something like that, take a gander and watch it, because it was great. And parents who lose sight of what it's supposed to be about, they should go and revisit those times and what it's supposed to be about. It's not about your kid, and it's not about you. It's about the greater good of the game, and it's about your kid, and your kid having fun, because you know what, they're not going to be big leaguers. One, maybe two might get a scholarship out of that, right? So enjoy it while you can, because like I said before, you run out of games, and before you know it, you run out of games, and that's it, and you never get to play again, and that sucks. And but these kids got to play a game that they love that day, and it was an awesome thing to be a part of. Anyways, there's my little talk about the Little League World Series or the Canadian World Series, and hopefully I get a chance to go to the Little League World Series in the next couple of years, because it's been a dream of mine for a long time, and it was a lot of fun to be a part of. But remember, parents, don't let your kid run out of games. Be a kid at heart forever, and enjoy the moments you have, because you never know when you don't get another one. And it was on full display in Victoria over the week. Here, just one more little commercial here, or we'll just do final thoughts, and we'll send everybody on their merry way. So now, with the Lethbridge Bowl season being done, like I said, went out with a bit of a whimper last night, and they're all done for another year. And then my umpiring's done for the year, so I got nothing but some spare time on my hands, which is good. I got the podcast bug back up and going. It's good to get on here and talk about sports and talk about the things I love and what I don't love and everything. But it's good to rant. Got some guests lined up for this week. So what I'm going to try to do is Mondays and Fridays, I'm going to do a morning show, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to do the nightly show. But the Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to be getting guests on. That's kind of the plan. But the morning show is going to make its triumphant return starting Monday, recap the weekend, and Friday, I think, to look ahead for the weekend. So that's the plan with the 14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes 20 seconds to get you started on your daily commute. So that's coming back, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays a night show, and maybe we might do one on Saturday mornings as well. Kind of a different kind of a show and different kinds of thoughts and ideas I have. So the 1420 podcast can be back full bore moving forward here. Looking forward to it. I got some different ideas. 5 years is coming up in 11 days. So, and then Deanne, my wife, she's going to Greece with her mother, so for 3 weeks. So I got nothing but time in my hands for those 3 weeks, where I can get hunker down here in the Yankee Tavern North and put out some content and get the numbers up. Make sure you guys. So thank you very much to those who listen. Keep us going for 5 years. We'll do a 5-year anniversary show coming up to get some guys on from the past. But we got some things lined up for the show the next coming week. But that's the plan: Mondays and Fridays a morning show, and then Tuesdays and Thursday night show, and then a Saturday morning show. So we'll be at you 5 days a week here at the Yankee Tavern North and the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to get that up and rolling a lot more, plus the Belly Up YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, like that, hit the notification button, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube, and tell your friends, tell everybody that, because that's the best way to get this thing moving forward is word of mouth, and to tell people that you like the show, don't like the show, you're indifferent, don't say you're indifferent, because a little controversy never hurt either. But make sure you guys subscribe, share, talk about the show. Listen to us wherever you get your podcast. Share it with other people. Social media, Twitter, we're on _1420, and then the Facebook account 1420 Sports Bar, and then the Instagram account as well, where we're putting show clips up there on a daily basis. So make sure you have a great weekend. It's been a haul, but we made it through it, and it's that time of year. I got college football starting to roll right away. NFL, I don't care. And then baseball's at full bore, and NHL training camps get going. Make sure you check out No Credential Required to the show I was on today, or check out all their great shows. Ryan and Dustin do a great show, and they're working really hard to move forward. So let's enjoy this crazy time together. Remember, everybody, it doesn't matter where you are, it's who you're with. Have yourself a Saturday, or whatever day you're listening or watching this, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in to the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. For beer and sports talking a whole lot more, brought to you by SeatGeek. Go to bellyupsports.com for the best of sports articles and podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel or wherever it is you get your podcast.